Sean O'Malley shows how he's preparing for Merab. Merab reacted to the video. On X, he responded with a laughing, crying emoji. Anthony Smith says that to this day, Chris Weidman is still the best fighter he's ever trained with.
Anyone that bet money on Chris Weidman to win by knockout in round 3, they hit that ticket, they're like, come on! And then 2 hours later, they're like, nope, overturned, baby.
Nope, unanimous decision, actually.
Yeah.
Man, I think I've said this on here before, but I'll say it again. I've trained with Chris and a lot, and still to this day, skill for skill, he's the best fighter I've ever trained with. His jiu-jitsu is he doesn't grapple like a wrestler. He's got he's a really like a legitimate high-level black belt jiu-jitsu guy. Really great wrestler. He's really hard to hit in practice. He kind of fights and looks a little more like Wonder Boy, to be honest with you. He's hard to get to. He kicks a lot. So I just wish that Weidman would show up. But I don't think even doing the research and breaking down his fights, I've never seen the Weidman that I see in the gym. I've never seen in a fight.
Yeah, that's always the way though, isn't it? Sadly.
He was really excited, but he also understood. Like, hey, listen, I get it. There was some eye pokes and there was some happen. He was like, but I'm just doing the best I can in the moment. It's not on purpose. I just fought. The way that he reacted, he looked hurt, and I went down for the finish. Like, there's other than not poking him in the eye, there's nothing he can do there. Eye pokes happen. It's part of the sport. I think the bigger conversation is the gloves. And this is the one thing I don't really go against the UFC too much, and that's not because of my job or my position. It's because I just agree with most of the to be honest. But the gloves, we got to do something about the gloves. We got to do something about it's been the same gloves forever. With technology and where the world is, and there's too many smart people that work for the UFC to not get that fixed.
Tom Aspinall answers some fan questions on TikTok.
Top 3 fights you want to see this year, not including yourself.
Quite a good one. Oh, that is a good one. I'd have to really think about that. Top 3 fights. I'm really looking forward to Charles Oliveira against Sarukian. That's coming up soon. That's a fight that's already made, obviously. I'd like to see Volkanovski come back and win, because I'm a massive Volkanovski fan. Against anybody, I'm not too bothered about that. I'd like to see Pavlovich fight Rogan. I think that's a fight that I would be very interested in. I've heard a couple of rumours about that. I don't know how true that is at the minute, but...
So what's your weightlifting routine?
It's a long... I am not a strength and conditioning specialist. I just follow orders. I'm not like... I don't sit here and like bang on about I need to do this and this. I just do what my coach tells me. That's it. It's not rocket science to me. I show up, do what I'm told, and I go home. I don't know really what I do. I just follow orders.
Perfect. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
Will_Lewis98. What's the strangest thing a fan has asked you to sign?
Probably. Someone asked me to sign the wife's knickers once. That's pretty weird. Yeah, probably that. Probably all knickers, yeah.
Deiveson Figueiredo believes Cody Garbrandt is mentally fragile. Deiveson aims to knock him out at UFC 300. He went on to say every athlete fears getting touched. Many fighters like the infight, but crumble when a hand lands. You have to be a bad. You need a strong mind to come back again. I think I'll affect his mind by touching him, and he's going to respect me more. I really want the knockout in this fight. This fight could lead me to a title, so I want to impress. It's going to be an incredible fight. Cody moves a lot and gives his all in the first round, and I have that same aggressive style. It's going to be an intense fight. Cody is an excellent athlete, and we're both former champions. I feel healthy in this division, and I was able to show that in my first fight against Font. He didn't feel healthy at the time, at flyweight, and now we're going to fight. I'm going to his division, where he feels better, and we'll put on a great fight. I'm sure the fans will love this fight. Joe Rogan gives his reaction to Demetrious Johnson beating a 250-pound man in jiu-jitsu. On the Joe Rogan Experience, Joe said, "How crazy is that? Mighty Mouse took on a guy who was 250 pounds in a jiu-jitsu tournament and he tapped him. The dude was heavier than him by 100 pounds. The dude was enormous. The guy was so much bigger than him. He's great at everything too. Look at the size difference. Look at how big that dude is. Mighty Mouse is so slick. He manages to stay on top, which is really crazy. It's crazy that he couldn't get him off of him. That's technique. It's pretty wild that he's even willing to do this. He's still doing MMA, he's still doing high-level championship fights, and he's competing in a gi tournament, which is nuts." Ronda Rousey is getting roasted today on social media. Ronda went on the Not Alone podcast and said that she's the greatest fighter that has ever lived.
It was to the point where the next fight, the first time I got touched, I was out on my feet. You know, and it is so hard because I've never been faster, never been stronger, never had a better grasp of the game. I'd never been so much better than everybody else. I was like vilified as like, oh, she was all hype and she was just lucky and she, you know. My first loss, I was not like, my mouth guard was bad. I literally came into that fight concussed from slipping down some stairs already after all of these years of, concussions. And then I had absolutely terrible weight cut. I was out on my feet for the entire fight. I was just trying to make it look like I wasn't hurt, but I wasn't there cognitively. I couldn't think as fast. I couldn't judge distance. And just from that one fight, everybody felt like, oh, she's a fraud. And I know that like, I'm the greatest fighter that has ever lived, but when it got to a point where I'd just taken so much neurological damage that I couldn't take it anymore.
Now, if you want to watch that full podcast, the link will be in the description. First and foremost, Chris Cyborg reacted. She wrote, "Poor girl still suffering from CTE. I hope she finally got a good mouth guard." On to the top reactions on Twitter. Maybe the greatest fighter in her household. She's still concussed. A gif of Amanda Nunes. Should we tell her? I laugh every time in the second round when she rushes Holly and she ducks under and Ronda turns around like WTF just happened. Ronda doesn't live in reality. Making excuses a decade after is some wild coping, I'm not gonna lie. Always an excuse. Ronda dominated the women's division with just an armbar and no real competition. As competition/technique progressed, she was easily outclassed. If her striking didn't suck so bad, I'd consider that a reasonable explanation. She definitely got concussed in the fight too. Poor baby still can't accept a loss. And well, then what is the excuse for the Nunes fight? It would be much easier if you stuck with a simple, "It wasn't my night, I did my best and came up short." The reactions are the same if not worse on Instagram. Frank Lester says, "LOL girl, let it go. You got smoked. Case closed. Stay in the game long enough, it happens." It took 10 years to come up with that excuse. She's made it her life mission to remain unlikable by all means necessary. Was she concussed against Nunes too? And stop. You try to strike with a striker when you have Ben Askren's striking ability. And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. For daily MMA news and content, subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post videos. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. The first one's from Mark. It says, "Jake Paul is going to call out Mark Coleman after the Tyson fight." The second one's from David Watts. It says, "Next Full Mount MMA video. UFC gets backlash over Izzy title shot." I'm not gonna lie, we did have a lot of angry Sean Strickland fans in yesterday's comment section. And the final one's from Josh the Mediocre. It says, "Mark Coleman would legit fill in for any fighter. He's the real BMF. I love that the UFC is doing that. He deserves all the love he's been shown lately. The man is a hero." Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured in the next one, all you have to do is comment down below. And if you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen right now to get caught up.